My name is Betty Sheldon. I'm from Aberdeen. I always come to see the inmate art. It's inspiring, and I'm an artist too, so I need all the inspiration I can get. I'm looking at various Zentangles by Shane Blake, and I barely know about Zentangles, so I had to get up close and look at this. And then I saw it's done on individual squares, and it's very fine, detailed work, each one different. And I just kept looking and looking at it, and I realized it was as if I were there. Wherever these were done, I had the feeling that I was there at that work table, in that cell, in that art room, or whatever. And it just gave me a bit more of a glimpse into possibly what was going on in the mind of the person that saw fit to do this work. And I really do appreciate it. It's very, very nice. I bought the one that was hanging here. It was the great blue heron with the poem above it, because the heron is my self-designated totem of my mother, and she shows up at places and times that seem significant, and so I had to have that one to take home with me. Far more paintings than I expected. I see improvement. I'm seeing names of people that I have seen here before and admired their work, and it's even more admirable this year, if that's possible. Great variety, great participation, and our art group came here tonight, several of us, because we talked about it last night, and it was great that so many came, because that way the inspiration goes round and round. Hopefully some of it goes back to the artists in Sioux Falls and Springfield and wherever you were when you did these works. I look forward to this. It goes on my calendar as soon as I know the date, and nothing's going to take it off my calendar. So thank you for bringing it to us again.
You need to look at the clocks, and we need to tell our friend about those clocks. We have a friend that's a clock collector, so we'll have to make mention of those.
Excuse me, I'm going to go look at the clock.
It's not a paper, I presume. It's a canvas, because it almost looks, it looks like fabric, and it's interesting for this kind of scenic design to use that kind of a canvas. work is absolutely beautiful. Just the understanding of animals, and then putting nature in with in some of them, the snow and the horse. I mean, it's just beautiful work. And what's interesting to me is to see the variety of work that is in the exhibit. The different styles, and some that you look at and you get a big giggle out of it to look at it, and then others that are so serious and thoughtful. It's really exciting to see, and having no talent at all myself to do anything like this, it's like, how do they do it? You know, and each artist's work is so different from the next artist. So it's got to be something that really comes from within. The materials that are used are so different in some of them that it's like you look at it and you think, wow, now that is really interesting. Between the material, the design, how they're done, and and then of course you look at so many that are very colorful, and then you look at the black and white, and so it's how does a person decide how they want to do that piece of art? What kind of colors do they want to use? What kind of, so it just seeing this much variety in the exhibit is exciting to see too. And the beadwork is beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. I have several beadwork necklaces and earrings and things, and so I know how much fun it is to have them. And when I wear some of that, then people always say, "Oh, where'd you get that?" Oh, Well, I think people don't stop to realize how surrounded they are with art. And I guess then that becomes a definition of what art is as well. But how important it is in our lives. When we look out a window, when you look at your clothes, when you look at design and fabric and furniture and how things are designed, and of course then putting those on paper makes you really realize too what you're looking at, and so it's a wonderful idea to have people who are in prisons doing artwork. And like writing and doing poetry is marvelous.
I think the work that Miller is doing is just very nice, and I hope that he continues to do this kind of work, because I think that it'll evolve into something even better. I think that's a very, very nice piece. The mountain men. Very well done.
You know, of course, I like all the dream catchers, and the clocks are very nice too. I enjoy them a lot. This little cabin one, we have a lake cabin in Minnesota, and this one down here, you know, it reminds me of our little lake cabin.
We're home. Beautiful beading, just excellent color and craftsmanship. Some of the paintings are just exquisite, the animals, and but I kind of fell in love with a little Pegasus it looked like a new beginning artist, and just something about it just really caught my eye, and just had to have a little piece of that too. So got me a few pieces today, and pretty thrilled with them. This is like the third time I've come to this art show, and it's just amazing every time. So many talented people, and it's great that there's an avenue to express those and to bring them out for the public to see. I mean, it's a great photo, but it'd be one to put somewhere in a corner where people wouldn't expect it, like maybe in a bathroom or something behind the door, and you got this thing looking at you like,
I'm always so impressed at how much personality comes out in everything. You can tell so much about the person by what they do when you give them a pen and some paper and some paints, and it's really an impressive display. I mean, the stuff I'm looking at right here, you've got a real 60s vibe here. You know, there's a lot of like I forgot the name of the guy, the keep on trucking guy kind of art, like with these mushrooms and the yings and the yangs and stuff like that. Lots of great colors. I really like, I'm not even exactly sure how to describe it. It's a lot of geometry in it. It looks like he's taking some pictures and incorporating it into it. It looks really cool up close. It looks really cool from a distance. And I like the kind of multimedia thing that he's doing here. I think that's great. Is this the same guy?
Yeah, it's the same guy.
Yeah, he's really, and I think it says something about you. I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
There's a psychologist somewhere that can tell you with this kind of geometry or asymmetrical, the repetitive patterns say about the guy that did it, but it's really cool to look at, whatever it means. A lot of animals this year. I guess that's not surprising, but I always think they do a great job with them. That's a great car. There's a really cool skateboard-looking style art down here. These black and white masks. That guy's got such a personalized style and such a highly developed technique. And I'm guessing, I bet if you look at his like third grade notebooks, you'll see the foundation of that. Like he's been doing that for a while, and I really like that. It's always eye-opening. It's always surprising. It's always, there's some stuff that the skill level isn't there, but the heart is there, and the expression is there, and that's great. And then sometimes it's like, oh my God, I can't believe, that I'm standing in front of this painting. And in fact, I've got one of those in my living room right now. That's, we love it. It's a beautiful, beautiful work, and I think it's such a great program that you do it, and I hope you continue to do it.
This guy catches my eye a lot over here. And I don't know him. It's not a name I'm familiar with. But I think it gives a lot of insight into an inmate's thought process. I really do. Particularly these two pieces here. This piece, is obviously very angry, very upset with its surroundings, and it's great that the inmates have art like this, because if you look at this piece, you see this green alien guy, represented possibly maybe as an inmate, releasing his anger, and by drawing this, the inmate's able to focus his anger and release it into this artwork instead of the surroundings that are right there. It's a vent for an inmate, and this piece over here by the same person, boy, this one really gets me. I don't know how a normal person would read it, but me looking at it with the background that I have, boy, talk about some fragmented reality. That is a perfect picture of somebody who has lost everything. It's a very deep insight into this inmate's mind, in my opinion. You got the burning down below. You have the world that's been completely fragmented out into different pieces. I mean, it's amazing that they're able to express this, and be able to say, my world has been shattered. And at the same time, they're able to create something like this and be able to communicate that, not only with the people that see it in there, but with us out here, to be able to look at that and say, wow, even though this person has went through so much pain that their world is completely shattered around them, there's still good in there and there's still beauty there, and they're able to express it. If we're able to nurture that art and be able to bring it out, I think something we talked about earlier, the recidivism rate, it would drop.
Obviously, the beadwork things are always, obviously that takes so much time and effort and artistic approach to create that kind of stuff. So it's always nice to see. I'm a member of the South Dakota Advisory Committee to the U.S. Civil Rights Commission, and we had hearings this past summer about racism, and we had in Pine Ridge and in Pierre, and it really brings home the failure of institutions to deal with people who don't have the means to pay for it themselves, and the administration of justice is maybe the primary thing that pops up in that, and so I look at these and I look at the names and I wonder how many of these people who are where they are would be there if they'd have had the means to get the legal help that wealthier people are able to get. There's a story behind every name, and I'm sure a lot of them are not deserving to be there. And you combine those with the ones who deserve to be there, but yet have bettered themselves, and they should be out and given an opportunity. And you and I have talked before. Unfortunately, sometimes you get out and the opportunity isn't there, and there aren't any options. So. One of the things that I guess I knew, but I had made clear when we listened to people at those hearings that we held, was the degree, the depth of anger and resentment from people who have seen institutions fail them over and over and over again, to the point where they come to expect it and maybe even see it when it's not not there. And so falling into something that shouldn't be done is easy if it's what you've come to expect. It was an eye-opener for me how difficult it is to just function when the institutions that are supposed to serve you aren't there. You know, starting with local government, tribal government, state government, national government, Indian Health Service, tribal police. They've all have they're good people, but they all have their difficulties in doing their jobs, and it's a real failure. And for some, and some of these artworks here may be by people who just failed on their own, but a lot of them are people who had a lot of help. What Lawrence was talking about was he used the word expectations, and it's what I came to realize from listening to the testimony of these people is that they have made mistakes, many, and they've gotten their lives in a bad situation, like some of the inmates certainly. A lot of times the mistakes and the things that have gotten them into the bad situation have been at the end of a string of times when they needed help from an institution, whether it be law enforcement or health care or whatever it would be. They needed help and didn't get it. And it happened repeatedly to the point where they came to expect that it would not. And so the failure and the mistakes and the bad consequences became an expectation. And so when Lawrence is talking about recidivism, there are two ways to avoid these bad endings. First is to have the institutions function before they get in there. The other is to give people some kind of a reason and expectation of success when they come out. And as Lawrence said, more than a job, more than those things, but the expectation that they have a chance to succeed when they hit a roadblock. We have 1,000 households in Aberdeen with an annual income of under $25,000. And the expectations of those people are not great either. Now add into that somebody in that income level also who is on parole or who has been failed. And it's a mountain to look at to fix. You wonder, you look at the artwork, and my impressions of the artwork, it's hard for me to look at it and not just look at the name and what the story is behind the name. One of my first reaction as a public official is I can't help but believe that if every one of these individuals had the financial resources that I have, and if I did the same thing they did, I wouldn't be there, and they are. That if you could hire the legal help to avoid being there, you probably wouldn't be there. Some cases certainly they would, but many cases not. And so that's incumbent on us. For example, our legal services for people who can't afford their own are really, really lousy. So, but Lawrence, what can we do to have them expect to succeed?
That gate shut, or you hear that gate shut behind you when you're getting out or going in, it is the scariest sound in the world. When I got out, I had no mother. I had a daughter that I hadn't been able to see for 8 years, so I didn't know her. That's all I had. That was it. I had no other resources. I had nobody standing behind me. In my eyes, I had, even though I was gaining my freedom, in my eyes, I had just lost all my family. I just lost all my friends. Because that's what I became to know in there. The other inmates became my family. You know, they were my best friends. You know, and it's weird to hear somebody say that my best friend was a murderer. You know, I mean, that's scary to say. It's scary to hear. You know, but I was around them 24/7. I seen sides of them that, you know, the newspaper didn't see, the TV didn't see. You know, I was there when we first started the compassion thing. You know, through the religious thing and all the outreach thing and stuff. It was just an idea, a thought at that time. You know, I'm so happy to hear that it's rolling. You know, since I've gotten out, I can honestly say that it's been hell. I haven't landed on my feet yet. Sorry. I got diagnosed with PTSD, bipolar, anxiety, all kinds of crap. You know, I had a plethora of health problems that followed me from inside the walls because of things that I faced while I was in there. I haven't been able to find work since I've been out because back in 2000, I was convicted, rightfully, of first-degree burglary. I admitted to it. I did my time. I sat for 3.5 years out of a 7-year sentence back then. And because of that crime 18 years ago, I can't work anywhere that has a cash register. I can't even be in Walmart or the dealer. You know, so, and with the health problems that I face, I can't do the construction work that I'm used to doing. You know, so through the good graces of my mother, she takes care of me most time. They bounce off each other, you know. But resources would have been nice when I got out. Thankfully, I'm still here. You know, I haven't went back in. There's many times that I've actually decided that I wanted to. I missed being in there. It was normal for me. I was in there for almost 8 years. I'm glad I'm out here. But I do miss my friends and my family in there. Yeah, I guess it boils down to that there is nothing in there to prepare you for getting out. Whether you're in my type of situation, my type of case, where I got up one morning, I was doing 150 years. I was never getting out. To come around lunchtime, they told me, pack my stuff, you're leaving. You know, it was just that, just like that. You know, so it was such a shock. But to those people that are building up to it, to where they know they're getting out, you know, there's really nothing in there either. I mean, there's programs, don't get me wrong, there's chemical dependencies programs, there's parenting classes, there's anger management classes, there's all that type of stuff. But like Lawrence said, you have to be so close to your date of getting out before they'll allow you to take them classes. You know, Like, I know several guys, me included. I was having anger issues. I had hoped one day that I'd be reunited with my daughter and wanted to take parenting classes. Things of that stuff, you know, I signed up for them, and they straight out told me, no, you're never getting out, we can't help you. You know? So it's like, there's guys in there that want the help, but because of the amount of time they're doing, or they're so far from their date, they don't qualify for it.
We've been talking with Lawrence for
a
couple years, like a long time. I'm trying to find ways that our departments can somehow like make connections and collaborate with his art group. So we had this opportunity this year with NSU's new freshman seminar to really like kind of just do what we wanted to do and like make something, you know, or at least take a stab at making something that would really expose students to like, you know, to these issues, and you know, and just like create like this collaboration. So Lawrence's students sent us a lot of their original artwork. Our freshmen learned about issues of social justice and then also socially engaged art. Socially engaged art is a contemporary practice where the artist is not like really creating like an object, like a piece of art, but creating a dialogue to raise awareness about different issues that are important to them. So while students were learning about like socially engaged art practice, they were learning about Lawrence's inmate art group and you know, and exploring the artwork in that context. So they were taking the artwork and then translating that artwork into mosaic pieces. So the two pieces that are in the back, they're kind of laying down like a table, but those are the finished product from that collaboration. In addition to like the studio part, students had the opportunity to go and visit the inmate art group in Sioux Falls at the prison. And it was an experience that I know for me, like it was really amazing to see like the impact that it had on the students. And it's something that's very abstract, but you can kind of feel like it's, you know, like, oh yeah, like this is why I'm teaching, like this is like why I'm doing this. I think it's like this like hidden population that like, you know, it's like we have all these like preconceptions of like what this means to be in prison, and like, you know, like, oh, what do those people do, and like, you know, what happens, and it's all through like, you know, Hollywood and like media and you know, things that don't really that aren't really grounded in reality. And so I think when there are these, you know, like, why are the programs like this, like why aren't there like, you know, support groups? It's because people don't, you know, people want inmates to suffer. Like they don't think that they're worthy of, you know, these opportunities, and they just don't know. Like they just don't know what it's like, what the realities are. And so I feel like, you know, this like very small like freshman group, you know, just by giving them the opportunity to, you know, meet with the inmates, like have this kind of intimate like relationship by working with their artwork and and making something out of their artwork. It's going to stay with them, and they're going to like remember it when they when they have to vote, and like when they meet, like hopefully when they vote, and or like when they when they meet someone who who is an inmate or So I mean, we're really hoping that this program is going to continue. It's going to like continue to have like new opportunities for collaboration. Like hopefully like the mosaics will keep growing. Like I know that we've talked about maybe doing like different medium in the future. And I think we took a pretty good stab at it like this semester, and hopefully it'll just keep on improving and growing next year and next semester.
I feel like when it comes to prisons and correctional programs, we focus on the programs and what's going on with the institution, that we don't do enough to have students put themselves in the shoes of inmates. And when they do, like with Traveling Classroom, when they met with the inmate group, it really opened their eyes to a lot of what was going on. And they were able to understand how the inmates were as people and how they had these feelings and the things that they were concerned about.
Things that was so generous and amazing about our trip to Sioux Falls is that the students were able to ask just like any question that they wanted to the inmate group, which I know it sounds like so like simple, but I mean I was really impressed with the questions that the students had and how like kind of fearless they were, and how also like so generous and so fearless the inmates were in their answers.
I'm Lois Beckner, and I started this show, and now I'm retired, so it was a thrill to come back, and I'm going to start with Paul Donahue's work. And Paul, I cannot believe how much you have improved. It's almost, well, no, it very much looks professional, and you should be very proud of how you have improved and your work. And actually it really shows in your presentation and just your technique, and it's just wonderful. Let's go over here to Tyson Hayes. Again, Tyson, I was blown away by your work last year, and this year it's just gotten, just incredible. And you should be so very proud of your work. Shane, your work has changed, but I like it so much. I'm wondering, are you still doing beading? Because a lot of people said, wasn't he the one that did the big Buddha? And I said, yeah. But I love the Zentangles, and Zentangles are fun, and you can get so involved in them, and I love doing it. I love how you changed it, and you've done the work. Edward Flad. Yes, I love the owls. I can afford that one. I will probably get that one. And just the poo, and I just love how you just throw it out there, and it's innocence that you have in it, and it says so much. It's very charming, the faces that you put on these, the poo, and I'm not sure about this little guy, the Brace Boy, I guess his name is. But I really love that one. I love the face on it. And please, please, just keep drawing and keep doing your work, and you're just going to get better and better. But I love the owls. I totally love the owls. And Troy, with your clocks, I'm glad you're doing them. The Mount Rushmore is just unbelievable. I'm assuming you painted it, which is incredible in itself. Just the work that you do and the ingenuity is just wonderful, wonderful. And Dennis Evenson, I have not seen I don't recall your name, but just clearly, I love your use of tone with your colors, or not colors, but the tone that you have with your pencil and how well you blend them. Just everybody has done such wonderful work, and I'm so thrilled that you put more stuff into the show again this year. And I hope you have a lot of sales, and the poetry is just so moving, very, very moving. I cried whenever I read the Remember Me. I cried whenever I read that. Actually, all the poetry brought tears to my eyes, so it's very, very wonderful. And I wish you all the good wishes that I can have, and thank you so much for participating. And hopefully, well, if you're still in there, I hope we see your work next year, and if not, please have a very, very good life, and you deserve it.